You know, if we're honest with ourselves, leadership is most often revealed not in calm waters, but in the heart of the storm. Most people overlook this quiet truth. The measure of a leader is rarely found in applause or easy victories, but in the heavy weight of choices made when uncertainty presses from every side, when the lives and hopes of millions hang in a delicate balance, and the comforting clarity of right and wrong blurs beneath the fog of urgency and consequence. It's in these moments that courage takes a particular shape. It is deliberate, measured, and deeply human. And it forces a question we seldom ask ourselves aloud. How do we remain steadfast when the world demands immediate answers, yet the truth requires patience and reflection? When I look back at the era of the late 2000s, the memory is not just of economic reports or policy briefings, but of a country and a world teetering on the edge of crisis. The worst financial collapse since the Great Depression had left families questioning whether the system still worked for them. Wars overseas stretched long, and with every report of lives lost, the distance between leadership and the people felt palpable. Trust in institutions once taken for granted had begun to erode. In that pressure cooker, the choices we faced were never simple. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act was more than a legislative effort. It was a moral statement, a decision to say that our shared well-being mattered more than political expediency. And when we extended aid to an industry on the brink, or reformed financial regulations to prevent future collapse, we were reminded that leadership is a balancing act. It is the tension between risk and prudence, between urgent action and the slow work of building foundations that endure. And even the decision to carry out operations against threats overseas demanded the same careful weight, tempered by ethical reflection and a clear-eyed understanding of consequences. I think back to my days organizing in Chicago, moving door to door, listening to families navigating their own crises, learning that people do not simply follow leaders, they respond to leaders who reflect their struggles, who honor their doubts, and who can articulate a path forward that feels rooted in shared values. When I sat in the Oval Office, that perspective never left me. The briefings, the data, the punditry, all of it mattered, but what mattered most was the human dimension. Mothers worried about foreclosures, young veterans returning from faraway conflicts, neighbors unsure if their community could recover. Leadership under pressure demanded that I combine empathy with strategy, hope with realism. It required listening more than speaking, pausing in moments when the instinct might have been to act impulsively, and recognizing that every decision carried moral weight, shaping not just policy, but the trust and resilience of the people we served. Humor sometimes helped, even if quietly reminding the team, and myself, that beneath the gravitas of crises, we remained human, fallible, and capable of reflection. And there is a lesson here about the deeper nature of leadership itself, that progress is slow, often unglamorous, and sometimes unpopular, yet profoundly necessary. It teaches that human nature bends toward both fear and courage, that our instinct can be to retreat into the familiar, yet our potential is realized when we extend ourselves toward the uncertain with conviction. Democracy, in this light, is less a system of rules than a living moral enterprise. It thrives when citizens and leaders alike embrace the responsibility of unity, when decisions are made not for the short-term applause, but for the enduring welfare of all. Ethical dilemmas are inseparable from authority. Every choice carries trade-offs, and humility becomes a quiet companion, reminding us that power, when wielded without reflection, can fracture rather than heal. Yet in those moments when courage aligns with careful judgment, when hope is chosen as strategy, we see the arc of history bend slowly, imperfectly, but toward justice and stability. Leadership under pressure is therefore less about the leader alone and more about how a society mobilizes around values that transcend fear and division. So, As I reflect now, I see that these lessons remain urgent. Crises will come in forms both familiar and novel: economic inequality, political polarization, climate threats, and in each, the test remains the same. Can we balance hope with realism, decisiveness with deliberation, courage with empathy? True leadership is not the absence of pressure, it is the steady hand amid turbulence, the willingness to bear weight that no one else can, and the moral clarity to choose collective good over expedient comfort. We are reminded that trust, once lost, must be rebuilt through transparency, consistency, and care. That unity is not a given, but a practice. That democracy is fragile, yet resilient, depending on the choices of ordinary people and their leaders alike. And as we consider our own roles, whether as citizens, neighbors, or those called to lead, we are left with questions that demand our reflection. How do we act when fear tempts us to retreat? How do we balance urgent need with the long arc of consequence? And ultimately, what kind of legacy do we wish to leave when the storm finally passes?